ready?
Can you notice something different?
Yeah.
I hope you can, because
this was literally 150 pounds worth of improvements here.
Honestly, because the sound quality was literally killing us. Like, it was so sad. And after the last episode, we were like, we can't go on this.
We can't.
I know it started as a passion project and still is, but like, we respect ourselves. Yes. I feel like enough.
Yes, to pay the money to get real mics and to save your ears from listening to us on raggedy mics.
That was right.
Because I will tell you, if a podcast doesn't have good sound, then I stop listening to it.
Honestly.
So.
And people were trying to gaslight me, being like, "Oh, the sound is quite good." I was like, "Are you for real? Like,
be honest."
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So yeah, new and improved.
Serious.
New and improved, and we're starting off kind of this new era. We went to the old Vic.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw Oedipus.
Which, again, was another hot ticket in town. Like the last episode, we bought these tickets, like, in October.
Yep, because we can't just do plays without star casting anymore in London.
No, we can't.
So, that's fun.
How is she going to sell tickets?
Like, I don't know what
we don't
stories.
Want to hear we don't want to see the nobodies on stage. What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. It's
we
like,
want
if you
to
made
see
it,
the
you made
stars
it.
of my favorite TV shows, BBC's Luther,
Films.
and Mr. Robot, and Night at the Museum.
Yeah, imagine if it's like, I was like, is Hollywood struggling? It's like, why is everyone on our stages all of a sudden?
Well, the strikes did not help from last year.
They did not help.
So that's why people were going back to theater. Oh,
whatever.
True. But also, theater is still seen as like, this higher art form. This proving yourself as a real actor is by getting on that stage and doing 60-something performances of the same show. Yeah. So that's another thing as well, I think.
And when it works, it works. But I feel like, to me, what I'm seeing recently, because I've seen quite a few
with stunt casting,
stunt casting, like, it feels like people forget about like the story. It's just like the obsession is with the person there. Yeah, which is kind of like sad, especially if the production is good. And then nobody's talking about it. It's just, have you seen him
a long time,
twirling?
like maybe 15 years ago when Benedict Cumberbatch was in Hamlet?
No, that was Andrew Scott. Did he do Hamlet as well?
Benedict Cumberbatch did.
Yeah, he did.
And we actually studied it in one of my classes for my master's, and the fandom was ruining the entire thing, essentially. People were taking out their phones and recording.
Yeah.
And he had to come out a stage door one time and be like, not to anger the fans, because you can't anger them, but to be like, guys, I'm so glad you guys are here to my show. I'm so glad for your support. I'm so happy you're here, but can you please not ruin other theater goers' experiences by having your phones out and recording me? Yeah. Like, people went batshit crazy for that one.
Yeah. Which is interesting as well, because I guess like it opens up theater for audiences that normally wouldn't go, and they might be like, oh, this is actually cool, but like
they're not actually invested a lot of the times.
Yeah, but then if we can't have a successful play unless it has a star. That's like a sad trajectory, I feel, where it's going. Anywho,
let's talk about the show. We saw Oedipus.
Yeah, so should we go straight into us in the past?
We should.
Yeah.
Let's listen.
Well, that's the first one. The first old Vic?
Yeah, the first old Vic.
We can't see anything but haze.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
I'm in Nazi. Oh, okay.
No worries. Can't see nothing but haze.
And this tiny ass seats
created for tiny Victorian people.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I'm on my weight loss goals, so
skinny legend.
So
skinny queen.
No, but then you come here and they just like embarrass you.
But it's not even like just whiteness. It's about your sizes and your bones being bigger.
I'm 5'7". I'm 5'7". I'm like, would be a tall gentleman back in Victorian times. Anyway, so I mean, Oedipus.
A new adaptation.
Yes. Well, the audience trigger warnings didn't say incest.
No, it did not. It said ask a staff member for additional information. It only had warnings about the atmospheric effects like flashing lights and haze and stuff.
I mean, that's basically that. Anything else you want to add?
I used to work here. That's interesting.
That is very interesting.
Only for like 2.5 months though. The pay was abysmal, and it was monthly payroll. We got
wait. That's like Old Vic yet, because we might want to get press tickets from them. Come on, Old Vic, you're the best.
Come on.
We love you so much. You pay
you're great, amazing,
lovely living wage, way above it. I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm sure you would love to.
That was back in 2021. It is now 2025, so things could have changed.
Yeah. We listen and we don't judge. Anyway, see you after the show.
Bye.
It's an hour and 20? 40? An hour and 40. Here we go. See you after.
Bye.
There might be no incest. What the fuck? Renata, would you like to say something?
The whole thing was great. It was my very first job in the UK. We got jackets, but we had to give them back after we quit.
Yeah, I think that's...
but I will say the great thing about working there in 2021 was that they were really good with the COVID restrictions, and they set that expectation early for not only the staff but the audience members. Hence why in 2021 December, when all those shows were canceled, Old Vic only canceled maybe 2 shows.
That's great. So that's the insider look at the Old Vic.
Well, I mean, there's other things that I think is very interesting, but it happened before I lived there, because I'm not gonna say who it is, but just look up who was the artistic director of the Old Vic a couple years ago. Just look that up. That whole thing, and it's really interesting how they've.
Are you talking about Kevin Spacey?
Yes, but the way that they have in their training of us, and the way they do things in there, it's all informed by what happened because of him, and so they're really giving everyone so much training on how to interact with people, and don't fucking touch people who don't want to be touched.
Revelation.
Yeah. No means no, people.
If only that would be just common sense, eh?
Yeah. But common sense isn't
Speaking of fiddling people.
Oh, God.
Oedipus.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, man. Oh, that's so bad.
I was trying to do a segue. I don't know if it's a good one. So, can you tell us what the Old Vic website... Tell us about this new adaptation.
So, this is Oedipus by Sophocles, of course. And this is a new adaptation by Ella Hickson. So, on About the Show, it starts with a quote that says, "Vengeance will be taken on the killer. Then the land will be clean. The contamination will be washed away. The rains will come and the people will be healed."
Fantastic.
And then it says, "It's a cold case, but according to the oracle, if the murderer of old King Laius is found and punished, then all will be well. The people turn to their new king, Oedipus," but they say it Oedipus in the play, the man who solved the riddle of the Sphinx, to hunt down the perpetrator and bring salvation. He vows to succeed whatever the cost, and so begins an unstoppable pursuit of the truth through a harrowing labyrinth of fear and love.
Oof. Tun, tun, tun.
So this show has 2 directors.
Yes.
Co-directed by Hoffe Schechter, the famed choreographer and the really prominent director.
An artistic director of the Old Vic.
Matthew Warchus.
Yes. Which makes sense.
And the thing is, until literally 5 minutes ago, I did not know Hoffe Schechter co-directed
this. Which makes
this.
sense
And now looking back...
Let's not spoil it. We open with Rami Malek in the shadows.
With a single light on him.
Yeah.
It's like pitch black around him, but we can see him with his hands
moving
in
despair and something.
Yeah.
And then we are joined by chorus, I guess.
Yes.
Like Greek chorus of plebs.
Yeah, plebs.
Yeah, and gorgeous choreography by, well, now we know co-artistic director.
Yes, very much in his style. Great lighting in that whole movement. Beautiful lighting and staging. Full on pitch blackouts. Which,
gorgeous. That's what it made me like think. Is like, is the director American? And close. So it opens with that, and then we basically what happens. So we're in Thebes, and the city is gripped by. Originally, it was the plague. Here it's more like drought.
Yeah, there's no rain.
It's more like a drought, but I think Sophocles was like more plague situation. So everyone's like, Oedipus, what the fuck? Like, you need to save us.
Yes.
Save us, save us, save us. But then he's kind of like floated the idea of being like, should we move somewhere else?
Yeah, let's all pack up together and go somewhere else.
And they're like,
we can't be saved.
And they were like, bro, no, we literally have our houses here. Like, we can't just fuck it up and then move somewhere else.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, damn it. And then that didn't work out.
Then his brother-in-law, who's like a priest or something, is like, well, it's happening because you are being arrogant and not looking to the gods or the oracle for the answer. And this is going to be the end of you, essentially. And
he's like, yeah, you need to consult the oracle. And he's like,
I don't think so.
Yeah, whatever.
And Jocasta is the same. Because Jocasta is like, we shouldn't follow the oracle. We need to do our own thing. We need to figure this out ourselves.
There was
people
more
are dying.
This kind of like secular feeling.
Yeah,
of the new. Yeah, I guess of the new. I don't know, new order or something. And everyone's like really into Oedipus because like he protected them from Sphinx. So like he outsmarted the Sphinx or whatever. So that's why it was such a prosperous town.
And this is 20 years ago that this happened. Yeah. That he came to Thebes.
Yeah. And then what happens? Creon is sent to the oracle. So he sends Creon to the oracle.
Yeah, his brother-in-law, Jocasta's brother.
Yeah. And then he returns and he's basically like, it's a punishment.
Yeah.
For the murder of King Laius.
Yeah.
And we need to avenge his death.
So we need to investigate, figure out who did it, find witnesses, get them together, and testify so we can figure out who did it. And then I think, so Oedipus then visits Oracle. Yeah.
And the Oracle doesn't really want to like chat to him. Like the Oracle is kind of like
Tiresias, yes.
Yeah. But then Oedipus is like, come on. Oracle tells you the killer.
Yes.
Then he's like, no, this is a plan to, obviously, they're trying to push me off the throne.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is ridiculous. Then his wife is like, yes, because he was obviously killed by the robbers.
Yes.
And she's like, and the prophecy, and then she tells us about the prophecy of,
that
like...
King Laius got told, and that he went crazy.
Yeah, then he's gonna be murdered by his son. So... Then he forces Jocasta to abandon their child on the Mount Cithaeron.
Yeah.
And just leaves him to die, essentially.
And she assumes,
of course,
that he's dead.
Yeah. Why wouldn't
she assume that?
And then her revelation as well about King Laius being like, killed by robbers kind of prompts Oedipus to remember one time when he got into a kind of...
altercation with a stranger.
Yeah, and he kind of, I guess, assumed they were like robbers and he killed them.
Yeah, because he had gone to a bar or something as a teenager and someone at the bar had told him that you're not the real king of Corinth.
Yeah.
Because he isn't. He's adopted.
Wow.
Sorry.
You literally... Spoiler alert! Renata does it all the time.
Sorry!
Every time she's like, oh my god, Rasa, go and watch this film. And then she tells all the spoilers. And then I'm like, well, obviously I'm not gonna watch it. So, yes. Let's jump back right into it. Then Renata, yes, Oedipus is not the real king. Actually, he was the baby on the mount. And his real father and mom were not his real mother. So he actually fucked his mom and killed his father. Dun-dun!
Sorry. It's hard for me to do this chronologically when it's like, you know what I mean? Like how it is in the play.
To be fair, if you don't know what Oedipus' story, I guess, like,
Yeah.
It's on you. Because, yes, if Renata can spoil it, the ending, she was gonna spoil it. So basically then it's a big revelation that Oedipus actually married his own mother and killed his father. So his prophecy was real.
Yeah. King Laius' prophecy was real.
As well. And Oedipus' prophecy was real. All the oracles were right.
The oracle was right.
That was
correct. And they told them.
They were correct.
And everyone was saying, Jocasta and Oedipus specifically were just like, no, we can't just follow what these people say.
Yeah.
You can't. They say it repeatedly that, just paying attention to the oracle and giving it weight will make you crazy, which is what happened with King Lias.
Yeah.
It'll make you crazy, and it just brings fear, it brings death, it brings destruction, but we have love. We have love, and that's enough.
And it's not.
It's not.
It's Greeks, so love is never enough. They're like, how you're trying to go against the gods? Well, that's what's gonna happen to you, motherfuckers. So Jocasta basically loses her shit. In the play, so in Sophocles' play, she loses her mind, basically dies. Like, then Oedipus sees that, and he's like distraught, so that's why he gouges his eyes out, and then begs Creon to take care of his child, and like he wants to be like exiled.
But in this is reversed.
But in this one is reversed. It was weird.
Yeah.
This way, I don't know why they reversed it. So
it doesn't make sense that he was
he just
so
gouges
distraught because of his wife, but actually
because the wife died later.
Well, yeah, he found out after he gouged his eyes out in this version that his wife is dead, but she's not really dead actually because she runs away. In this version, Tiresias tells her you need to leave.
Yeah, and she does, which, like, I guess so.
Sure.
But that the kids can stay?
Because they're,
and they inbred kids. I mean, that's not going to be great for them.
No, but they're still like, in the royal. I mean, they all,
True.
We're okay with uncle and niece, but we're not really okay with mom and son. Yeah, but we'll let this one slide.
Yeah.
I
don't know why they turned it around, to be fair. Mm-hmm. Because, like, it makes sense if he sees his mother dead, that he gouges his eyes out. Very Greek. Very Greek response.
And that it happens off stage, and we see the result afterwards.
Yeah,
we don't actually see the action.
So he comes in with gouged out eyes, and then the rain starts dropping, and the plebs rejoice. And then we think that's the end of the play.
Yeah, we really thought it was. Because someone started clapping. Yeah. Someone almost clapped.
As you should. But then we continue the play.
With Antigone coming out.
Yeah. And then Creon is telling him to, like, I'll take care of the daughters, or does...
Well, Oedipus asks that of Creon to take care of his daughters. You need to go to Uncle Creon. He'll take care of you. And Antigone wants to help him, but, like...
Yeah, you're a child.
It's done. Or whatever. It's finished.
And then we have another big chorus rejoicing moment.
Let's backtrack a little bit.
Yes.
In between, there really isn't much text. There's not a lot of talking in this.
No.
There's dance in between basically every scene, essentially.
Yeah, so it's like a chorus. Because, like, in Greek, plays, like, the chorus always chats. Yeah.
The thing. So this is a way of giving commentary without saying commentary.
Yeah. So I feel like you're gonna hear me after. So I thought, like, that was cool. But then, we have this kind of double ending. So, like, it happens, and then they have another happy dance.
Because the first rain is the I thought that was it.
Yeah.
But then it just kept going.
Yeah. And then, wait, does the rain stop? And they're like, rain stopped. No, it
keeps going the whole time. It's just...
Did they say something about...
all upstage.
Yeah, but did they say something about, the rain stopped for now?
It did, yes. Antigone said it.
And they don't know if it's going to come back or something.
So we don't know if the sacrifice is enough.
Yeah, if it's even worth it.
Yeah.
Which is, like, fair.
Which is open, which is interesting.
And then we close it with Rami Malek again.
Back to stasis. Same exact position he was in at the beginning.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a sucker for
I love a closed stasis.
I love that.
Beginning to end.
Love it.
Match together. Yeah. But this time, well, of course, with the bloody shirt with his eyes gouged out, but in the same position.
Yeah.
On stage.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a sucker for it. So yeah, that's pretty much that.
Again, if we sound incoherent, you can just Google this.
I mean, you should know what to edit. Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
come on now.
Yeah. I mean, you've had like 5,000 years. Get it together.
Less
than that. 2,000.
Less than 3,000 years. More than 2,000 years. Don't age Sophocles. Anywho, let's go back straight after the show and listen to us
immediate disagree.
Woo-hoo! Spoilers. We both can do spoilers. Push your thoughts?
The first thing that I thought in the first like 5 minutes, I was like, Gecko Theater, is that you?
Oh, Gecko Theater wishes. Just saying.
I was getting Gecko Theater vibes.
Really?
Well, the choreography and the style. Without the audible, it's more dancey than Gecko Theater is. I think this was a dance show. The vehicle was the dance. That's what we really cared about. The text, not so much.
Interesting.
In my opinion.
Interesting.
There were moments, especially at the end there, where I was like, can't this be over already?
Interesting.
That's what I was feeling. Can it be over? That last 15 minutes. I was
interesting.
Like, can we finish this?
I really loved it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's the first one. I think it's one of the first shows that utilized light.
The scenic was great. Oh yeah, I loved it.
Stage.
Yeah, the staging was great.
Like everything made so much sense to me, and like it scratched my the part of my brain that needs to be scratched.
Yeah, no, I get that. I thought the staging and lighting was great. I wasn't a big fan of the...
Right, I really enjoyed it until the very end. To me, the very end, it was like... it was just confusing, and I think I agree.
Yeah.
Like it weird into like, why are we doing another dance bit? Which is like, choreography was very great, but then it got like, oh, okay, so we have another bit, and you're gonna dance the same thing. You're gonna tell us the same thing.
Yeah.
Again, cool.
Yeah.
But then, the moral of the story was like, I really like the way that the dances were the Greek chorus. Like they told the story of the Greek
public,
chorus.
They were the general people who lived in the
But then it was like when Oedipus asked his daughter, so how are the people? What do you see? And then we received the chorus that was dancing into these kind of modern Asiatic rhythms.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we have this westernized classical-esque music and be like, oh, so this is your version of them being okay.
Which is weird.
To me that was like...
I get what you're saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So also, okay, cool. So they got colonized.
Right.
They lost their identity.
It's being seen as civilized.
Yeah, which is like, okay,
Weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Director must be American. I need to check. Because they did full blackouts, which is very difficult to get in this country. You need to talk to
health and safety.
You need to talk to the council to get full blackouts.
It was dark. Jump scare at the beginning there. Love that.
No, I really enjoyed it until the very last bit. I thought could have been so... Also, it felt a bit confused for me because we got the rain.
Yeah.
And then just after that we got his sacrifice. And I'm like...
He gouged his eyes out.
So is this like, are you making the point that it didn't matter what he's done because like the rain came before that? But then, no, that wasn't the point.
I thought
and I was
that,
like, okay, cool.
Well, based on what I know about Greek theater and a lot of the lessons that it wants people to learn, I'm not sure if this production is saying this. It's just telling the story, but it's not really wanting you to come away with anything per se.
No, I think they do. I think they actually made the point about like a lot of I think they commented on a lot of today that we are like following these fucking gurus and
That's true.
Andrew Tates and whatever, and we don't actually see what's around us.
Yeah.
Like that interesting secular and the fucking
Religious,
crazy
yeah.
religious world. I think it was very interesting, especially
but even
now
things that
in
are
politics.
Not, oh yeah.
But to me it was like, so I felt a bit confused. I was like, so the rain came, but then you did your sacrifice afterwards. Because that would be an interesting point. It's like, oh, you did all the sacrifice, but the rain came anyway and then it stopped.
Right.
It would have been interesting if like he's like, oh shit, so I did this for nothing. And then maybe he asks the daughter how the world looks like and all the dancers are like corpses on the ground.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, they're great, but they are not.
Right.
Like that could be... I think there could have been so many more interesting
choices at the end there.
Choices at the end for me.
I mean, I was definitely like, can this be over in that last 15 minutes? I was like,
no, I really enjoyed the movie until the second end, and I was like, okay, we're doing this again then.
Yeah.
And like they didn't say anything else.
There was a part, the last before last dance bit, where they were standing still and someone almost started clapping. I could hear someone in the stalls almost start clapping, thinking that was the end. And I was
kind of feel like the end could have been.
I would have thought that was the end too.
That could have been the end.
Yeah.
I feel like they overindulged a little bit with the dance at the end.
I think so too.
Which I think it turned from the Greek chorus to the main part, and that
I think
got
so
a
too.
bit like confusing. I think.
Yeah.
One of the best fucking lightings I've seen in a film.
The lighting is excellent. It is.
And the sound is.
And the part at the beginning where they had the flats move over and change the light, I was like, wow, that visually was gorgeous. Visually great.
Also, like the soundscape was incredible as well until that last
weird song
bit
at the end.
That we're like, okay, so.
I mean, there's some bops in this. Let's put it on. Let's give it an album. Give us a little album or something on Spotify.
It was a weird kind of very 1800s take of, we better because now we westernized. Kind of, and by the music. Music was telling some weird story, ain't gonna lie, at the end. So yeah, Renata was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, I really liked it until the end.
I think the dance bits and the lighting and visually was great. I wasn't a fan of the text.
Right. And what didn't work for you for this one?
No, it just... Maybe because there wasn't that much of it and it was so expositional. Maybe that's why I didn't like it. And look at us revealing everything at once.
Yeah, but that's Greek tragedy.
I know. That's my issue with
what they've done, really, I fucking loved it.
But now it's open-ended. Now we have to do Antigone next.
Hey.
We'll talk about it more.
First time we kind of got divided on this.
Got divided.
Which
is
that's
true.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you in the studio with good mics, hopefully.
Yes, we bought a lot. We spent a lot of money on these mics, so these are going to be so good.
Because the quality was breaking my heart every time.
We can't go with the Timu mics anymore.
It was horrible.
It's time to
Not Timu.
level up.
It wasn't Timu, but still. Timu? How dare you? Anyway, so hopefully
TikTok shop then.
We don't advertise. If you want to support, yes please. Chinese government, please support us. Anyway, we love you. Okay, anyway.
Bye.
See you. Bye. So yeah, that was us. After kind of sleeping on it, I think I agree with Renata a bit more than I did straight after the show. Because I think the end really kind of threw me a little bit. And you know what I thought? It could have been a great show if it was a dance show and a theatre show.
Two separate shows.
Two different shows.
Oh.
And then reading that it was co-directed by a director and a choreographer, I was like, that makes so much sense now.
It seems like two separate
they
entities
were like
almost.
Butting heads a little bit.
Right.
Which like it worked, I think, in the beginning, but then it felt like the choreographer was
interacting what was happening.
It was like, I need a bit more bits.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like very interesting. Again, I think we talked about it so many times. It's like when you have all the bits of the show integral to what's happening. I think by the end it kind of unraveled. You know?
But isn't that how it is a lot of the time? Because people spend so much time trying to get the beginning right that the ending gets...
Yeah, but
like
it's interesting.
But
it's interesting as well, and like a lot of like very, you know, and these are big people. These
names.
Are like successful
Absolutely.
people, and I think I see a lot of like very big, very great, talented theater directors. They love to use movement, but somehow, and I think it's a Western culture. I don't think we know. I think we are so far removed from our bodies, weirdly, that we don't know how to feel through them. I don't know if it makes any sense. I feel like sometimes like the movement is an add-on.
Is it partially because British theater, the writer is king, and we focus so much on the text that we don't know how to integrate movement into text and treat movement as text.
Could be. Also, I feel like we don't regard our movement language in the same way as we regard our, like, regular speech or language.
No, we don't.
Even though, like, we read so many signals much more through non-verbal communication in real life.
Absolutely, because it tells the truth.
You don't
more
need
so
to
than the words coming out your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. But we somehow don't regard it as the same. And I think we move, especially, I don't know, like, well, that's going to go very philosophical. But you know how modern person moves further and further and further from nature. Mm-hmm. And I think at the same time we move further from our real body. Mm-hmm. So then we don't know how to connect the two. Mm-hmm. All of it. I don't know.
Probably in the rehearsal room, in the initial rehearsal room, you do your table read, and then the dancers rehearse somewhere else. And so maybe in that process, because it is separate at the beginning and they don't come together till later on in the process, maybe that's why it feels like that, because they work independently first, and then they integrate the text and dance together instead of all being in the room together, which would make, it would be a lot of work, but like, and
that's the thing, because I was like yesterday, as you know, like Renata is our musical theatre, legend connoisseur, and like I'm just learning about it. So like, it was interesting. Yesterday I went to rehearsals of Hadestown, and because to me it was so interesting to see, like, I couldn't understand how musical director and choreographer work together.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is such a good show because it's sang through. Movement is like everything is kind of like connected.
Yes.
As it should be, I think.
Yes.
But it was so interesting that the way like director and choreographer worked, they were like both taking notes, both saying notes. Choreographer was kind of directing.
Yes. The lines kind of blur. They have similar responsibilities.
And I'm like, this is so interesting because like I understand this is like the director and choreographer. It's not their IP. They're just coming there to do the same show that someone else done.
Yes,
it's not an original
Richard
director.
Chafkin is the director.
So I'm like, I was very intrigued. I was like, I would love to see. Is it because it was so collaborative?
Yes,
but like in a very nice way.
Yes,
and I don't think that happens often.
Exactly,
because I think when egos come, like this makes sense because this is your job. Like this is literally, we know what we need to make. Let's work all together to make it.
But
what happens when you don't know what you're gonna make? When it's because I was talking to one of the actors, because I was intrigued, and he's like a seasoned professional. So I was like, when you work on new musicals, I was like, how is that dynamic? Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, there's different things happen.
Absolutely.
Because that's the thing is like it's such a vulnerable place when you're trying to create something as a director and then you're trying to create something as a choreographer, and musical director. I guess it's a bit easier, but like
the thing is about the process of musical theater in general is that, especially when you're creating a new work, everyone collaborates and it contributes, whether they have the title of director or choreography or musical director or like everyone collaborates and contributes in some way because that's what it takes to make the process work.
That's how it should be.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is it true for a new production? Because like, I mean, I worked with quite a few older playwrights and directors and whatever, and the ego game is it's
present in musical theater strong. As well, but I think maybe because the art form itself is so many disciplines rolled into one, you have no choice but to kind of try to work it out, because when it doesn't work, oh man, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see how collaboratively everyone worked.
Even though sometimes in the rehearsal process for a musical, the process is separate a lot of the time. Like, of course, to learn a piece of dance, if you're learning a musical number, sometimes, the choreography goes off in this room and work, and then...
That's what choreographer said. But because now all of the new musicals are more integrated...
Yeah.
With dance and everything...
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't happen
like that anymore.
As often, I guess. And like this is, I think, where we're gonna move.
Everyone in the same room all together at once, which is
super good.
Which is good because people need to talk to each other. People need to feel each other's energy and like be able to put it all out there at once instead of trying to put together pieces that people thought of.
It's like jamming a jigsaw piece that
doesn't fit. Yeah. And if someone feels really strongly about something, it's easier for them to talk it out with other people instead of really making your own opinion and then coming in later and really want to defend it.
Yeah.
You know
so I think it's like a long-winded way of saying that I think theatre needs to learn from musical theatre. I know, that's something I would, but like, hey, I'm learning. I'm always like, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's a lot of ego play in straight theatre.
Because it's seen as the superior art form to musical theatre.
And that's how it seemed.
Straight plays on top, musical theatre is below that.
That's how it felt in this production. That's why, sorry for a long segue, but it's all has to do with what we're talking about. Is that it felt like, as you say, choreographer worked in one room, director worked in one room, and then they...
Tech rehearsal! Finally, we're together.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, and that's the end. And then
that's not how that
choreographer
works.
Was like, no.
And you know what?
We have another super long bit.
And you know what? Like, the dancers only really interacted with Oedipus at the beginning and at the end. And that was it. There was no crossover between the cast members who were speaking and the cast members who were dancing. They never interacted.
Which is, I feel like the chorus usually is omnipresent in like Greek plays. Like
but they would just come and leave in this.
Yeah. Which I think you're right. Probably they rehearsed in two different rooms.
Absolutely, they rehearsed in two different rooms. And then at Tech is when they finally came together.
But thank God, the set designer, the costume designer saw the both rooms.
Yes.
The lighting designer saw the both rooms and they were like, listen, we're going to make it cohesive. So it didn't feel disjointed.
Visually. No, it was very cohesive visually.
Yeah. And it did like, I don't know. I don't know what it was. It
it was that music. The music with the choreography really was just, it just fit perfect together. But it was the same person who did, the music and the choreography.
Until the very, you heard what we said about the last part. And, quote unquote ethnic music, quote unquote, turns into
strings,
westernized music. And then we are all happy. Hey, not saying anything. No. I'm not suggesting anything,
but then again, but music tells a story, and if that's what we got from it, then
I mean,
what did they want us to get from that? Because obviously, you're trying to say something with the music.
Think, and I'm sure it wasn't. I don't think they even intended to do that. It just happened.
But you got to decolonize your mind, because because you'll do things subconsciously that you didn't know you're doing.
Not to make any assumptions.
Well, yeah, but.
So I don't know. I think like what's our
what our overall thoughts are.
I think I really enjoyed it because it did scratch my kind of subconscious mind, and I really love when art does that. But then I don't know again, like, and I fucking love Greeks and I love dance. So I don't know why. Maybe I really liked it. Or my subconscious mind really liked it after the show. And I'm like, when I'm looking at it now, from a bit of, perspective, I'm like, I don't know about how successful that production was. Mm-hmm. All realness.
I think it's doing very well because of the stunt casting. And people will say that they like it. People are going to enjoy it and say it was amazing. And, we consume a lot with our eyes. And eyes really,
But imagine that being just a dance show.
It would have been fantastic. It's just a dance show.
Amazing. Just to have like... I hope he's going to do one. Because I think it would be super cool. And it was strong.
Make it a ballet, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know if... Not a ballet.
I mean, as
do
a ballet
contemporary
in the
dance.
sense of... Not the style, but the structure of a play without speaking, essentially.
Yeah, contemporary dance performance.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, that would have been, I don't know, but I love out of box thinking of let's collaborate and co-direct, being choreographer and a director. I think that's something we don't usually see in straight theatre.
And to be honest, we don't see it a lot. There's only a couple of like really good musical theater directors, like Michael Bennett and people like him. He directed and choreographed the original Chorus Line. Also directed and choreographed the original Dreamgirls. There's few times where there's been someone who is doing both simultaneously, and I think it really works well when it is someone doing both simultaneously.
Yeah. But I have a feeling
because the collaboration can be really hard for some people.
Yeah, and I think like because they're both on such a high caliber.
Yeah.
Again, and I don't want to assume I don't know any of these men personally, but I feel like
we know how it works sometimes.
But with status comes this, you started getting a lot of yes sayers around you, and you're
like, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I know what's best.
And it felt, I don't know, felt like they didn't two fully...
a play and a dance piece.
And thanks for the designers that brought it together, I think. In a very amazing way.
Overall, that's what we think about it. It had some good and some things that could have been done better. But I think the key thing we're taking away from this is the importance of true collaboration and to being all together at once early in the process.
Not thinking about yourself, thinking about the piece that you're trying to create and come as close to the truth as you can possibly.
Yeah.
Working together.
Yeah.
So we're bringing a new segment called Side Quests of the Haters. So, Renata, did you go on any side quests?
Yeah. So last week I was at home in my hometown and I went to go see a new musical at my old job, Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. I went to see this musical called Bedwetter, which is by Sarah Silverman. It's based off of her memoir. So let's hear what I have to say after the show.
Yay!
So I'm at my former place of employment, Arena Stage in Washington, D.C., which is also the city that I was born in. And I've just come out of seeing The Bedwetter, which is a new musical by Sarah Silverman based off of her memoir. I thought it was all right, It was funny, some funny things. Kids cursing, kids making sex jokes, If you know Sarah Silverman, then you know that's kind of what you're in for. This one is just meh, I think. It was some parts that were really funny, but I think the structure itself was a bit underwhelming. But, it is what it is. All right.
Yeah.
And Rasa, what side quest have you been up to?
Oh, so I went to, of course, see another star casting. So I went to see Much Ado About Nothing by Jamie Lloyd. Well, you're going to hear what I had to say. But since then, 4 5-star reviews. It's a revelation. And this is what I had to say.
Oh, the same thing for mine as well. They also got good reviews as well, which,
So, hey. Yeah, so Much Ado really felt like all-inclusive resort entertainment. It's fun, guys, right? Right? Guys? That's it. That was our new segment. And, we'll see you when we see you.
Yeah, at the next one. Thanks for listening to We're Just Haters, the theater podcast.
Yes, please tell a friend, tell a grandma, tell a neighbor.
Maybe not grandma.
What? Grandmas are lit. Okay. Anyway, see